Hey guys, it's Adam from My Butterfly Garden, and I just want to give you guys a tour of all my plants. And some of these are growing better than others. Ignore some of the mess around the house, but I'll do my best just to let you guys focus in on the plants. And we're starting here with a Haworthia. I think the lighting's kind of bad, so I'm going to take it down here. This is a Haworthia, an offset that I took off of my grandmother's plant. We kind of share the interest in gardening, and this is one of her house plants that she has. She has a large one, and it has a lot of offsets that I can take off several times a year. So I took this very strong and rooted offset, and I put it in a terracotta pot. There's two others in a plastic pot that I also have that don't really have too big of roots. Here's the variegated elephant bush. I've never really had too much luck with these, and it looks sort of healthy, decently. I'm hoping that I can actually grow this, because every time I've attempted to in the past, it hasn't worked out too well. But this has lasted pretty long, and I've had a good season with plants. It took me a lot of reading and studying to really get the hang of all this gardening, but I finally have it. Outdoors I was pretty good. I knew a lot about plants. It was just about like keeping them for long periods of time. It took me a while to be consistent with that. Here is my peperomia. Clustifolia, I think is the name, and it is the variety called Jelly, and it's got these beautiful red leaves, these variegated leaves that have the red edges, and I think it's just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Peperomias are something new that I'm just starting to get interested in, and I've been interested in them for a while. I think they're very beautiful, but I've just never really gotten around to growing them. But I found this Jelly peperomia, and I also got a peperomia caparata, which I'll show you later, and I have another jelly. And my jelly peperomias, actually, I attempted to grow it from leaf cuttings, even though I've done that before with peperomias. It's one of the few times I've had experience, and they've all been horrible experiences. Never worked out, but I actually have some upstairs that are rooting. So here's my other two Haworthia offsets. These ones don't really have as big a root system, so they are together in a pot, so that the moisture goes away faster. I don't want them each in a pot by themselves, because then it'll stay moist for too long. Next step, and this guy is leaning a lot, and I'm not sure why. This is a euphorbia. Oh, I do have another euphorbia in here. I completely forgot about this guy. My fire sticks euphorbia, Cherry. And I really do like this one. It's called a fire sticks because it kind of has these like reddish tips to the ends of the stems, but it's not really showing those. Right now, just because it's inside. But in the summer, when I put this outside, I guarantee you it's going to be bright red and orange. Okay, hopefully that guy stays up. I'm not sure why it's leaning so much. Then I have this little fuzzy Echeveria. I'm just going to refer to it as plush plant right now, even though I'm not exactly sure of the cultivar right now, just because it's so small. But I love this little guy. I have this pothos, which I grew from a cutting. There we go. And I have another tiny little guy here, another little succulent. Most of my plants are succulents. The peperomias are not, and the pothos is not, but most of my plants are. I'm hoping to get some actual cacti pretty soon here, but here's a little senecio. And then my little aloe blizzard babies, which I took off the parent plant, which I'll show you in a second. They're growing very well. Here's a euphorbia, and I forget what the species is. I just started doing euphorbias not too long ago, and this one was given to me as a gift. The fire sticks, I wasn't even checking what type of plant it was. I was just grabbing random succulents. Actually closed my eyes and kind of grabbed some, which was kind of dangerous because there were cacti with sharp spines right there. But you know what? I'm a rebel. Anyway, so this one was given to me as a gift, and so I didn't really have like a choice. I probably wouldn't have chosen it in the store just because I don't know much about euphorbias. I do now just because I've read about them. You can see it's getting another leaf. It actually had some red leaves all around, and I think that's one of the things that steered me away, is because their leaves are not succulent. Their leaves look like thin, frail little tropical plant leaves, but their stems are succulent. They look like cacti, even though they're succulents. They're actually related to poinsettias. I was actually kind of scared about this because I didn't want the leaves to all dry out and fall off because I thought that would kill the plant. But I didn't know how to keep them moist and still keep the main stem, this thick part, the succulent part, dry enough to not rot. But it turns out the leaves fall off periodically and then they regrow, so I'm okay. So here is another Haworthia that I have that is a different species, and I love this thing right now because it's gorgeous. It was also given to me as a gift. And look at it. It's just, you can't really tell, but the tips of the leaves are transparent. And it is just, it's magnificent. It's gorgeous. I love it so much. It's one of my favorites. Okay, so here, another gift from my grandmother. This is a Sansevieria cylindrica, and it's braided in this small little pot. And yes, it is real. I had to check, but it does have roots. It's a real plant. I'm not sure how long it'll last. I might actually have to take it out of this pot, unbraid it, and grow it as a normal one. But I kind of like it like this, so we'll see if I can just keep it like that. Next, here is the parent aloe blizzard hybrid that those little babies came off of, and I had this one for quite a long time, and it just gives me more and more babies every year. I'm probably going to start selling some. Probably, I'm not going to ship them probably, but anyone in the area can take some. This is aloe hemingii, the mosaic aloe, and I love it. I hope it gives me some babies because I really want some more. My climbing aloe, and then we have down here we have this Schlumbergia bucklei, or Schlumberg. I said that wrong somewhere, but I'm not sure. And there's a new flower that just opened today. Now, when I purchased this a few days ago, I was unaware that there were more than one plant. There was more than one plant in here, but there's like 3 different ones, and this flower is a different color than these two were when they opened, and what this one will probably be, because I believe it's attached to this plant. But since there's 3 different plants, we'll see in following years, will it keep blooming? It's March and it's actually blooming. We'll see how many different color blooms we get, because I think there might actually be 3 different ones because there's 3 different plants. Here I have some Tweedia seedlings, which I'll move into the light later. We just had to move them for a second. Here is my little terrarium and my hummingbird. Yes, this is a real hummingbird. My neighbor found it, and it was actually dead. I keep this, and I actually put a little bit of a finish on it and kind of preserved it because it's so beautiful. It's a little hummingbird in its nest. It's kind of sad, but I wasn't sure how long I was going to keep it or if I was going to keep it at all, but it's not rotting or anything, surprisingly, so I'm actually very happy about that. And the neighbor, who actually had a deep love of plants, she gave me several plants. She actually passed away, so I'm keeping this hummingbird. And it sits next to my terrarium. So next up we have another Schlumbergia. There we go, not Schlumbergia, Schlumbergia cactus here. And this one's the Thanksgiving cactus, and I forget what the scientific name for that is. And it finished flowering. I had to sneeze there. It was flowering around Christmas time instead of Thanksgiving, but I wasn't complaining just because I loved all the flowers. And it's about done now, so it's starting to get new growth, and I'm very happy about it. You can tell the difference because this one has pointy leaves and this one has more scalloped, rounded leaves. This one is an aluminum plant. I forget the scientific name, but I like this one very much. I can't wait till the summer when it gets bigger. My amaryllis has some beautiful flowers on it, and it's starting to get a leaf bud. I was kind of hoping for another flower stalk, but you know, it's okay. I've hand-pollinated it, so I want to see what these seeds will grow into, some type of amaryllis, and the flowers will probably look nothing like this because it's a hybrid, but we'll see. We'll see. Next up, we have the Kalanchoe beharensis, and yes, it's pronounced Kalanchoe, not Kalancho, not Kalancho, not Kalano, or anything like that. And this is the velvet elephant ear leaf plant, and the variety is Fang because the leaves are kind of bumpy. I can't really show you it because none of the, barely any of the leaves on this plant specifically are bumpy. Actually, there's a leaf that I took off that I'm going to propagate that has some bumps on it, but a lot of the times they're actually just covered in bumps, and I'm not sure why this particular plant isn't. my jade, Crassula ovata. I grew this from a cutting from my grandmother's plant, and it's growing pretty well, starting to get roots. It'll start growing upwards again. I just have to stake it a little bit because I kind of planted it at an angle. My Blue Nile begonia isn't doing as well as I was hoping it would. I think it actually, part of it may have rotted. Oh yeah, it has rotted. I'm going to try to save this in a later video because I do love this plant, and that's a gift from my grandmother. Aloe pink blush. And funny story about this plant, this is an aloe hybrid that I got for free. Outside the library, there was this like little festival or something 2 summers ago, and the story is I was actually kind of talking to someone about like plants and stuff, about like all my plants at home and all the things that I had, and about like the butterflies and stuff. And it was actually the lady who was like a vendor outside for this like festival or whatever. And there were so many booths and stuff just like outside the library downtown Cedar Rapids, and I was just kind of talking to her about all my projects and stuff. And of course I was 13 at the time, so she was like just shocked that I knew so much about all this stuff. And so it was kind of towards the end where all the vendors were packing up, and I was gonna see if I could like buy a succulent. And I was kind of eyeing this pink blush aloe, and as she was packing up, she handed it to me and said, "Take it." And I got this free of charge. And over the last 2 years, it has just been big. I potted it in a pot that's too big, too big for it. I did that last summer, just because I like the look of it. Because now it also is able to produce more of these like little offsets too, and they kind of grow out a little bit farther away from the plant. You see, there's another little offset that you can't see. Here's one of them, but here's the really little one inside of here. I don't know why it doesn't produce as many as the Blizzard, but that's okay because it's still really pretty. And in the summer, it gets so beautiful and so pink, like all over. It's only green right now, but in the summer, it's going to be just blushing pink, as the name implies. Last but not least, here's the aloe roycapi, and it looks like a normal aloe vera, and it actually is one of the better ones for just like skin and stuff, because it's not like the aloe vera, so it's not quite as great medicinally, but I've actually had to use this because I don't have regular aloe vera right now, and it has actually stopped a burn from happening. It stung just a little bit more than a normal aloe vera would in my experiences, but I like this anyways because it's so nice, and it also gets kind of yellowish flowers, so I'm very happy. Let's see here. Let's move on. This is the first part of my garden. Now we go up here to my hanging basket, and this is a Hoya, and I forget the scientific name. I just had it identified in a Facebook group, and I've got to put the name of it in. Somewhere. Hoya, something that starts with N, and it's a long name. And it blooms, I've heard, about twice a year. This is not how big the plant used to be. It used to be huge. Like, this plant used to be the most ginormous plant ever. It used to actually be in a bigger pot, and it used to just like it looked like a bush. It was huge. But I had to remove a lot of it because the soil that it was grown in when I bought it was so horrible that it actually killed a lot of the plant. So this is what I've been able to salvage from the giant Hoya plant. But speaking of Hoyas, I took a cutting of that kind here. I also have this Hoya carnosa compacta variegata, which is Hoya carnosa, which is the most common Hoya, and I've got a regular carnosa here producing more growth buds. I've trained it up a trellis because I don't have room for a bunch of plants that are going to be trailing. So this was my suggestion, or my solution. Sorry. I don't have a lot of room for them, but Hoya carnosa compacta, that is the Hindu rope Hoya plant, and then variegata variegated. So beautiful plant given to me from my grandma as a gift. I've got these little Hoya leaves, which I've got to root at some point. Or not Hoya leaves, Kalanchoe leaves from my Biharensis. I took these off. These two I took off purposely 3 days ago. This one I fell off like 4 days ago, and then this one I took off today for a demonstration. So I'm going to be rooting these later on. I'm going to show you part 2 of my succulent, or not my succulent, my houseplant tour in a second part of the video, so stay tuned if you like this. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, guys. See you in part 2.